The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Media Mash,
A roundtable of Cowboys insiders
dropping wisdom
and offering sizzling takes
on the current state of your Dallas Cowboys.
Now, your host,
Steve Dennis.
All right, let's go with Media Mash on this Thursday. I'm anticipating a much calmer hour today than yesterday. The personalities involved are considerably more reasonable than a couple of us were yesterday.
I hope so.
And Jane Slater we were talking about our favorite thing about the Cowboys, and it's somewhere in the middle of Clarence E. Hill Jr. yelling and screaming. She said, the mute button is my favorite thing right now, which was quite funny. I'm Steve Dennis. Welcome to Media Mash. It is a big Cowboys week as they come out of the bye. Let's go around the table. This is Jori Epstein from USA Today. Hi, Jori.
Hello.
How are you today?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Was the bye week good for you?
It was.
Super. This is Rob Phillips over here with all Cowboys media. You know him well. Hello, Robert.
Hello, Steve. Yes, yelling is not really the first thing you think of with Jori, myself, or the man across the table from me.
And that would be Mr. John Machota.
Oh, John can yell.
Well, I'm sure you
True.
all can. I mean,
But nobody's Clarence.
No.
Nobody's Clarence.
well, you know, I always gave him a pretty good run
you're
for
up
his
there.
money.
You're
but
up
I'm
there.
getting old,
You're up
so is he.
We all work in the same workroom where, I mean, they're the cubicles, but it's hard to separate. And because Dak talked today, I literally went into a separate room where I could close the door just because I had to write about it, and I knew that I wouldn't be able to do it if I was in my normal cubicle with Clarence yelling about something.
There was always, I used to have fun when I was a TV guy, obviously, so I wasn't allowed in the writer's room, but I would sneak up there just for the fun of it if I had.
It is fun.
It is fun.
had 10
If
minutes.
you don't have anything to write right away, it is fun.
Yeah, and I would get Clarence going and Jock going, and there were some quiet ones over the years that hated when I came in there. I said, I'll only be 5 minutes, I promise. And then there were some that loved it and got abused, Albert Breer, for one. But, all right, I want to do this real quick. Obviously, Dak Prescott just met you guys. You had a little session with him after his second involvement in practice, I guess, whatever the involvement is. Today, we're going to hear all about that in a minute and discuss it. We got other stuff to discuss today, including what would we consider to be the really only Achilles heel that the Cowboys have right now coming out of the bye with a 5-1 record. We'll get into that. But right now I wanted to do this. You know why? Because I forgot yesterday. Yesterday was the day, October 27th, 2002, that Shamalama Ding Dong said this on the Dallas Cowboys Network.
High formation, two receivers right. 2nd and 7 at the Dallas 30. Hutchinson, handoff, Smith at left guard, 35, 40-yard line. Right on the mark. That should do it. Move over, Sweetness. Make a place for Emmitt.
Maybe the best play-by-play call in the history of sports, in my opinion, from, I got so many nicknames for him, Homer Shamson, among many.
Shamalama Ding Dong is hard to top.
That was always my
Yeah.
favorite. Well, we had a new one every year. At training camp every year, it was my responsibility.
Do you have a list?
Oh, I got 'em
shirt,
all.
Like the Browns quarterback.
So many of them, but
He likes this?
Oh, yeah, he calls Steve Heavy D.
heavy
right?
D. Well, yeah, that's what Babe used to call me because my stories on the air always came in heavy. So he would call me Heavy D. People thought it was because he thought I was fat like the rapper, which in those days came and went a little bit, but it still does. But anyway, that was the day that Emmitt broke the record. I wanted to bring it up for two reasons. Number one, because in my time covering the Cowboys, it was the big moment. There weren't any Super Bowls from my tenure, 98 on. And I remember
You're
that.
the problem.
Yeah, well, Clarence is. Let's keep that. He came a year before me. But that beautiful Sunday afternoon against Seattle on a terrible football team toward the end of the year. No, actually, it wasn't toward the end of the year. It was October 27th. It was early in the year. But he passed Walter. Had 109 yards that day. They lost to Seattle 17-14. It was a big moment. It was the emblematic moment of the end of the 90s era. when he broke the record. Troy was already gone. Michael had to quit. Moose had to quit. Woody was there for a while. But that was important for obvious reasons, but that one too. And I want to mention this to you just because I think it's interesting. Emmitt retired at 18.355. 18.355. He's number 1 on the list. Walter's number 2. Frank Gore's number 3. I could go on, but here's what interests me. Now that Adrian Peterson is done, he's no longer active. He got to 14.820, which is number 5. LaShawn McCoy just quit. He got to 22 at 11.102. The closest active player chasing Emmitt is not even within 10,000 yards. And that's Mark Ingram at 76.18. Zeke Elliott is next at 69.05. But to me, that is ridiculous. That far behind of any active running back, which just tells you this record ain't ever going down. Who agrees with me?
No, I agree with you. I think it's, for me, in all of sports, my two that I say that about are the NFL rushing record and then Nolan Ryan's strikeout record. I don't think that there's any. I think maybe Max Scherzer, Justin Verlander, maybe even halfway there, and their careers are in the back end. So I would put this right there. And this probably even exceeds it just because of the fact the way the game's changing. Like, how many teams even just have one workhorse back anymore? Not to mention that you have to be a workhorse back on a team that's really good for a long period of time, because you have to be good because you have to still be running the ball all the time. If you're not a good team, you're not going to be running the ball. So, yeah, this is one of the safest records in sports. But, yeah, I mean, I come from the land of Barry Sanders, so we
5th on the list. So do I. I covered him in high school.
Yeah.
In fact, Barry, at an Emmitt Troy Aikman golf tournament in, 2006, 7, somewhere in there, I was talking to him on the driving range. And, no, it had to be closer to when Emmitt broke the record. But because he pointed it out to me. Isn't it neat that you were there for the beginning of me and the end of Emmitt? And I said, God, if I were a writer like Jori Epstein, I'd write a book. I'd write a book about that. But anyway, Jori, this probably sounds like when my dad talked about Lou Gehrig to you.
Yeah, how old do you think I was?
I'm going to guess 6, 5.
In what year?
2002, 4.
Oh no, I was like 8.
Oh, big 8.
Wasn't even born
Now
yet.
you guys were young too, but you have a quick memory, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I actually used Brad's call we used it to start the Darren Woodson documentary, Deep Blue, that we did, because it was such a big moment. Nobody remembers, even his own teammates don't remember Darren Woodson broke the all-time tackle record in the same game because it was such a huge moment. They had a big celebration at midfield after the game, despite the fact that they lost and they were headed towards another 5-11 season. It was the bright spot in that year. And I'm with John because the game has changed twofold. Teams aren't running the ball like they used to. And I bet Derrick Henry might be the only running back or one of very few running backs who've actually had 30 carries in a game this season. Nobody does it anymore. Zeke doesn't even do it anymore.
They may face one this weekend that does it occasionally. But he's been banged up a little bit.
Hey, real quick, that was the gold standard of radio calls. I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
But anybody, if you want, go back, and I think it's totally worth watching the clip real quick on YouTube. And Fox had that game, and Daryl Moose Johnson was on the sideline. And so Daryl goes and interviews Emmitt like right after that.
Yeah.
And Emmitt starts crying when they're. I mean, it's a great interview.
It was
whether
a great
you
hug.
care or not. Yeah,
it was a great
hug. It was like 2 minutes long, man. It was great.
It was a great hug. And by the way, we were talking about personalities. That just wasn't Woody's personality, by the way. The most unassuming, great player ever.
One reason why maybe he's overlooked for the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Thanks for letting me do that. That was my biggest moment covering the Cowboys. Other people had Super Bowls and all kinds of neat stuff. We had Emmitt's moment on that nice Sunday against Seattle. Okay. The question remains, will a calf strain stop the rain? Dakota Prescott. I don't know. Look, going back to CCR for that one. You guys were in front of him today.
Speaking of way back.
Way back.
Yeah.
He talked to you alls. And, all right, let's start with Jori. What did you take from Dak answering your questions today in terms of your feeling that he's going to play or not going to play?
Yeah, it was interesting. Dak said this is not fully his decision. He said there's some similarity to the shoulder injury he battled in training camp in the sense of you really want to be able to get it healed so it's not lingering, you're not having setbacks, it's not a week to week. He actually said that, yes, you could say, well, we're playoff contenders. We want to make sure that we have that lead in the NFC or the NFC East, whatever it is. But for that reason, he also believes that he needs to get healthy so he can be available later in the season. So he did say he pushed himself fully today, not 50 or 75%, wanted to know how his body could handle it. Since Monday evening, he's felt like he could play, but it's not 100%. Like, he definitely still knows that this calf is an issue, and the fact that it's connected to the ankle he injured last year is an issue.
Yeah. Robert?
It sounded look, what we've seen from him, open portion of practice, he looks good. His warm-up looks good. The dropbacks that he's simulating have been good. Throws look fine. But his tone, and John, you may agree with me or not, his tone was similar to training camp when he was asked about the shoulder strain. And he even used the line, I think I remember him saying in Oxnard, of they want to protect me from myself, which that tone makes me wonder, is he going to play in this game? I felt more confident about it before he spoke to us than after. That doesn't mean he won't. There's still a couple days left before they probably make that decision. But if it's close and they're not really sure, like if it's not 100%, I don't think they play him because it's October, not January.
Yeah, I'm with Rob. After hearing him talk, like, okay, so you go from Tuesday, where Jerry on the radio, 7 a.m., way too early. Way too early.
Yeah, what was that?
But anyway,
he's got meetings this week.
But when he said that it's not even close to him in terms of how concerned Jerry was about throwing shoulder compared to this, I was like, oh, Dak's going to play. If he's already saying that, I'm like, oh, this is. But then as the week goes along, like Mike McCarthy hasn't really given much. And then, obviously talking to the players, CD said he thinks it's probably 90%. Zeke, Amari, all are like, yeah, he looked like the same Dak, whatever. But then Dak today, I don't know, just being around him over the years, like, this is the first time where I started really thinking, like, you know what? I came into today knowing I was going to write about whatever Dak said, and I thought for sure I would write about how, read between the lines, he's starting. And I didn't, when I left that, I didn't feel like I needed to read between the lines that he's starting. I need to read between the lines, like, I don't know, there's still a lot of, like, pieces that need to be played here. And we get, covering the Cowboys, you get all these angles. You're going to get Mike McCarthy, you're going to get Dak, you're going to get other players, you're going to get Jerry on the radio. We need to be able to get Britt Brown. That'll be the one that would really be able to handle, because he might be the final decision maker. And Jory, I thought one of his best answers was the one about, if Britt has to tell him that he can't play, how he's like, oh, I'm going to be angry, and we'll have some choice words with him, and I'm going to be mad at him. But at the end, we'll probably hug, and I know he's got my best interest at heart. I thought that was one of his better answers. I was interested in that.
Yeah, and John and I have been kind of having a daily check-in at practice of our odds on whether or not he's playing. Like, okay, before we talked to CD, it was like 70%. When CD said he's 90%, we moved up to 85. Or like, is that the bottom line? Yeah, I truly.
So what percentage are you at?
I truly believe the Cowboys have not made the decision yet. And, like, I think there are sometimes you have the gamesmanship in those type of decisions. Like, it's possible they've decided what La'el Collins' role is going to be or whether Terrence Steele is going to start right tackle. It seems like he is. I think it's also extremely likely they haven't decided. Dak said that by Saturday you want to have that decision for that final, what they call their launch practice, to get them mentally and physically ready for the game. But I think that it really is sort of a day-to-day thing, and how he feels tomorrow from today will be important, especially since he pushed himself hard and he was moving quickly, and he was so sweaty after his rehab portion of practice that, like, you could see it on his knees, and they're in air conditioning. But yeah, he's got to be able to take those live tackles from a team that's sacking teams at a higher rate.
Well, you all beat writers have a much better feel, obviously, than I do listening to every comment. But I've got some experience in being a comment whisperer. And the one thing that I heard that leads me to believe that he will not play is when he said, if this were the playoffs, I would definitely play. Because what he's doing there is telling fans, don't put this on me. I want to play. If it mattered that much, no question, I'm playing. So when they announce that I'm not playing, it ain't me. I just want you all to know that.
Well, I go back to Oxnard again because I think John asked this question on the tennis courts out there, and it was this kind of the same thing. It was like, if this is a regular season game, could you play? And I think he said he would. So I'm not saying it's the same injury. He did mention the shoulder deal, the fact that it is one of those things, like Jori said, you wake up, it may feel differently. It's that soft tissue kind of thing. You don't know how it's going to react, and you can make it worse. So they got a 4-game lead in the division. I think a lot of fans probably think this is gamesmanship. I don't think it is. I think they need to find out every day throughout the week how he's feeling, and they probably do need to make a decision by Saturday, because if Cooper Rush needs to play, then he probably needs to get the bulk of the work in that last practice.
I don't think there's any phoniness in Dak Prescott.
No.
Other human beings, you can read phoniness. There's no phoniness in him, and I think the message he's getting from Britt right now is, hey, don't be sure that you're going to play. And now it may change, and it may be great by Sunday night. But I think right now Dak feels like there's a chance he won't play. And I said last week, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's okay to let Cooper Rush go out there against Minnesota. You got a 3.5-game lead in the division. Even forgetting about how important it is for it not to linger for Dak and all that, you want him ready for the whole run. But for Cooper Rush, it'd be okay. Do
you think they win with Cooper Rush?
We're going to talk about that a little bit next segment. Because I think what is in the NFC East, as I tease the discussion a little bit, it is such domination at that position. Maybe in the history of the division, the domination. I think Cooper Rush would stand up pretty well against the other 3 quarterbacks in the NFC East. I really do. Maybe not Daniel Jones so much. But I just think it would be a good idea after what we witnessed without Dak last year to let Cooper Rush have a run at it and kind of ease some thoughts about what would happen if Dak had to miss a game or 2 or whatever later.
And I just wonder how much difference 7 more days makes. That's the big thing with me. Because it's just not one extra game. You're rolling. You've won 5 games in a row. You're coming back from this bye week. Like, you want to keep it rolling, what you have going. And so you're gonna obviously stop some progress when you take out your most valuable player. So those 7 extra days, there better be some way that you can show medically that they really significantly improve your
But don't they always, though, John, no matter what the injury is, isn't it better to go an extra week without doing anything on it?
Why not miss 2 weeks?
Well,
maybe a whole month.
1's better than none. And then 2 would be better than 1, depending on the injury.
I guess this would technically be 3 because if you go with the bye. But still, I don't know. It just seems like I don't know what the difference is. I'm obviously not in the medical field to know the difference between what's the difference about where he is right now to 7 days from now to where you're going into the next game. You're just like, no, we're good now. It's been 7 more days. Like, he's fine now.
Well, that's the kind of stuff that Britt's an expert on, I think.
Right.
And
we need him on the show.
Yeah, well, he's such a media hound, that one.
Yeah, we could ask him, but I don't know.
And this is one of those situations where Dak's greatest strength is also the greatest challenge here, because if he is a player who is so trained at, like, playing at 70%, 80%, or 90%, like, then that might be a little bit better. But he's like, look, if I go out there, I want the game plan to be what I'm used to. I don't want to have to be constantly thinking about what the effects are going to be and what Kellen can call. Obviously, he's changed the amount at which he's going to take off since the ankle injury, but he wants to be able to, when he plays, play without abandon. And I think that's just how he's wired.
All right, let's talk more about Dak in the next segment. But real quick, before we do take our first break here on Media Mash on this Thursday, speaking of being a bit of a action whisperer, when I saw that they ran Terrence Steele out in front of you guys today, that told me one of 2 things. That
they asked for him.
Oh, did you?
Oh, yeah.
Well, then one of 3 things.
And, hey, Andy, hold on. We don't want you to step in a trap here. And he was supposed to talk yesterday, but he was in the weight room. And so then they moved it till today.
Okay,
go on.
But I think that they said yes. I think that they said yes to you for a reason. Number 1, to reward him for what he's done, to give him a little media time before he loses his job next week. Or, number 2, to make it clear that he's not losing his job next week.
Covered all bases.
One or the other. And I'm curious, real quick, which one, if I'm right, you guys think it is?
I don't think it's either, to be honest with you. I think he was asked for us to talk to him But I don't think this is just gamesmanship. Like, I think that he has a serious chance to be the starter on Sunday. I think it's because...
Sunday for sure. I'm talking about beyond that.
Oh, beyond that? Well, I don't know about that. You know what? Actually, it probably comes down to how he plays. Because like Jori said, this team is really good at rushing the passer. Like, I know it's easy for, if you're a Cowboys fan, why would you be following the latest that's going on with, the Minnesota Vikings? But this is a good pass rush. If he holds his own against this pass rush, why would you take him out of there, It doesn't make any sense to take him out if things are rolling the right way.
I don't think the lineup changes this week. That's just a hunch. After that, I don't know. Maybe he needs a ramp-up period. Maybe they're evaluating him at guard. Maybe they're looking not only how Terrence plays going forward, but how Connor Williams plays going forward. If LC, that transition is going well, and Mike McCarthy thought it did yesterday, I think they're just keeping their options open at both positions, to be honest with you.
And doesn't that just speak volumes for how they feel about left guard? Like, they're trying everything that, like, actions speak louder than words. And the actions are, they're trying everything to keep trying guys at left guard and center. They're doing that over here, left guard and center, always trying new things. Different guys are snapping. But then over here, we're being told it's all about continuity. Same 5 guys, same guy. Well, you're trying over here a lot of different guys. So your actions are showing that you're really not happy with what's going on at left guard and center. If you're because here's another one. Like, I know it's got to go a ways back, but I don't remember Lyle being just like a shutdown dominant left guard,
He was an alternate Pro Bowler when he had that role after Leary left. But
they like Leary there more, and then that's why they moved him out to.
Leary was really solid.
I'm just saying I think his best position is right tackle, and then all of a sudden they're mixing him back in this left guard. Because they're not completely set with what's going on at left guard and center.
See, that's my hunch. My hunch, and I could be dead wrong, but I think, I hate to say Mother Football, Shereen Williams was right, Chill, in your discussion. He was not going to jump right back in. They have to get him, and, while he's getting up to speed, let's try him over here for fun. But my hunch is he's going to take the right tackle spot back after the Minnesota game. He's just better.
He might, and I don't disagree with you. I mean, when he's Lyle Collins and he's back and he's in a rhythm and he's healthy, but I mean, we haven't seen that. We played one start this year, and then 19 is how you have to go back to that. So it's been a while. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's lost it as long as he can stay healthy. So, but they like Terrence Steele, man.
Yeah.
They like what he's done. They like his approach, and they like what he's done. He's had some help out there. It's not all by himself.
Jori, quick comment?
Yeah, McCarthy had a good line today where he said, respectfully, this isn't a personnel evaluation. This is about winning continuity, kind of like what John was mentioning. And I do think that they view it like McCarthy's really big on creating competition at these positions, and it's in Terrence and Lael's best interest to try and like make them go fight for it. I think it's not creating this division. It's saying like, Terrence, if you keep proving it, that's a great problem for the Cowboys to have. Lael, if you're so strong that we need you back, okay, we've got these options. So yeah, I think that it's in the team's best interest for their depth to have this situation.
You guys don't have any faith in my whisper skills at all.
No,
I can tell.
Correct.
Sometimes,
I have very little in them myself. But every so often, they work.
Although Dak's tone, I thought, was pretty telling when Lael was brought up, and he really does believe that he's an enforcer on the line. And we also know the deep trust on and off the field that Dak and Lael have had for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So Dak by no means was saying like, Terrence, get out of there. I think he believes in Terrence too, but they do go back a lot.
Well, I do think if you just look at it from a very broad deal, I mean, Lyle Collins makes a lot of money, and he is one of the better right tackles in the league. And if a guy like Terrence Steele can usurp him, I mean, that means that Terrence is either really good or they're worried that Lyle's not as good as he was. Something.
Well, and he's playing at guard right now too, and Connor Williams is a free agent after the season too. So maybe you're they've said Connor McGovern is a better right guard than left guard. So maybe you're looking at your depth at left guard, but you're also taking a look at what might be a year from now. What you might have to do, contingency plans. It's not a bad idea just to kind of play around with that.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting today at practice, real quick on that. They were doing this thing and some of the warm-up stuff when Dak was doing his rehab thing. And what they would do on that first-team offensive line, I don't even think we're supposed to talk about this, but anyway. No one listens to this. They had their 5 offensive linemen.
Jori's on. Of course they do. Go ahead.
That's true. They have 5 offensive linemen out there, but they actually had a 6th. And so Lyle was like on the outside running through the drills. Like he was actually like an additional tackle, almost like, yeah, we're not putting you with the ones, but we're going to get you working right back into this thing.
I do dismiss what some media members are hitting on, and I would love to be face-to-face with them, that the Cowboys are mad at him. They're doing this because they're mad. Come on, man. They don't.
I don't know if they're doing it because of that, but do you think that they're happy?
Well, I don't think. Okay, who's mad? Is it the head coach? Then maybe. But if it's Jerry or Steven.
Hold on. Jori has a good line for this. What do you say? You say you don't get mad at people you.
Disappointed?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Disappointed?
Yes, I said
That's
I
it.
wouldn't
That's
be
what it is.
angry, but I would be disappointed.
I love it.
That's what it is.
That's a very parent.
Yes, and I'll say
coach.
head coach, offensive line coach, owner of the team.
Yeah, but disappointment, if you're right, if they're disappointed in him, they'd be idiots to let it affect their football team. I mean,
if he gives him
winning
the best,
and losing.
Look,
That's
he's
true.
been around here a long time. Like Jori said, players love him. He's got a great reputation as a teammate. If he gives you the best chance to win, I don't disagree with you. I think he'd be back in there at some point.
And I think that'll happen.
But Terrence Steele has done nothing to lose the job.
All right, let's get to.
The only knock on Terrence Steele is he hasn't been on as many fishing trips with Dak.
There you go.
That stuff's important. All right, let's get to our second topic. Chris Beam, rookie, is with us. I forgot to mention that, like he is every show. Glad to have him here. Jori Epstein, USA Today. Rob Phillips, Cowboys Media. John Machota, The Athletic. I'm Steve Dennis. And next, I believe the Cowboys only have one Achilles heel right now as they come out of the bye at 5-1, and it has to do with Dak. Next.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
New Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. You deserve it.
I do deserve that.
You deserve decadent flavor without sugar. And a day at the beach without sand getting everywhere. And a relaxing bath that your children don't interrupt.
I deserve all that?
It's really just a visual metaphor for Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. Everything you want, nothing you don't.
A visual metaphor on the radio. I do deserve that.
Dr. Pepper Zero Sugar. The zero you deserve is finally here.
Before there was a draft, you could size up a cowboy by 3 simple factors: the crease in his hat, the bend of his brim, and his unbending attitude. A man's Stetson didn't just protect him from what life threw at him, it projected a rugged, unstoppable spirit. Stetson hats are still American-made with pride right here in Texas. They're still the unofficial crown of all self-respecting cowboys, and Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find a retailer nearest you at stetson.com/cowboys.
There's nothing as unique as our eyes, which is why Essilor pioneers ways to make lenses as unique as you. Verilux for super sharp vision, Essential Blue for protection, and Crizal for freedom from glare. 3 cutting-edge solutions in a single unique lens. So whatever your needs, insist on Essilor. Visit your local Essilor experts and find the perfect lens for you. See more, do more, Essilor.
Back to Media Mash.
All right, we're back. I'm going to dive into this. Okay, Achilles heel for the Dallas Cowboys, sitting here at 5-1. I think you would have to really look into it to find it. Red zone offense, maybe, okay, maybe, but they're number 1 in points and number 1 in yards. So how could that be that damaging? Defense gives up big plays, sure, but compared to last year, I don't know if you can really make that point to a ridiculous deal. I think their number 1 Achilles heel, and this is brand new, because Dak played 4 straight years, all 16 games, is worrying about his health. That is their only Achilles heel. And we all went through all those years with Romo where that was pretty much the lead story year after year after year after year. And going to London against Jacksonville when he was laying down the entire flight, remember? Because he couldn't move his back. It's not to that point, but after what he missed last year, the shoulder in training camp, what about his ankle from last year? Now the calf issue. If they have an Achilles heel, it's that. And I'm wondering, don't all teams? Isn't that their Achilles heel if you've got a great quarterback, an elite quarterback? Isn't that your number one concern with all of them?
Yeah, and the ones that don't, it's because they don't have a franchise quarterback. So their Achilles heel is they don't have a franchise quarterback.
That's right.
We talk about this all the time, Stevie. And not, to be honest with you, just being fully transparent here, when you sent me what the story topics were, I thought that there was no question. I completely agree with you said that it is Dak and his health. But since you said that, I'll say something else. I'm going to go with the big plays on defense. I really feel like the takeaways camouflage some of the warts on defense. And I think there's a good enough track record now that the takeaways are not just a luck thing. I think that they're showing that they can consistently do that. So that can kind of mask that other part of it. But can you really count on every single game getting at least 2 takeaways? Because I think if you can't, I just think that there's some areas in the defense, and particularly in giving up those big plays, that if they didn't have those takeaways, like I still think that they're first in the NFC East. Not that that's saying a lot, but they're not 5-1 right now. I mean, those takeaways have covered up a lot of their issues.
Yeah, on that note of explosive plays, I wrote about this earlier this week, and they've allowed explosive pass plays, so 20-plus yards on average 4.5 times per game. And the only teams that have allowed that many big pass plays more per game are the Jaguars and the Jets, each sitting at 1 and 5. So it's like that it is something like the correlation here is not great. And so even if the takeaways are covering it up, like you got to fix that number.
Yeah, you guys took my answer. I agree, because I think they have the 4th best record in the NFC right now. As great as this start has been. So if this keeps going and they get into the postseason, they will face Tom Brady or Aaron Rodgers or Matt Stafford or I'm forgetting the other top. Kyler Murray. That's the undefeated team. So they have to shore that up, because they can't necessarily rely on, no, they're not going to be outscore us 35 points. No, those teams can. So you got to be able to shore that up. Also, the Patriots ran right at them, too. And they haven't really, the run defense by far is better than last year, but it really hasn't been tested as much because of these big leads. And Dalvin Cook's coming now, so it's going to be a great test to see how they. I
would argue this, and I'll have a little fun with the Dak angle here in a minute, but I mean they've got the cavalry on the way. I mean, they're 5-1 without D-Law, without Dorrance Armstrong. They've got help coming. They got 2 tackles inside coming back. I hear you, but all teams in the NFL give up big plays because the quarterbacks are so good.
But didn't we just decide that the only teams giving them up at a worse rate are 1 and 5?
Oh, the worst rate. See, now, okay. Are you chastising me for not listening closely enough? But
you can give up some, but the number of, and it's also interesting when we talk to Dan Quinn about this, because for sure Dan Quinn takes accountability. He talks about ways he could have prevented something as a coach, but there are also times when he's like, what was it? One of the 75-yard touchdown with Mac Jones, where he's like, you couldn't make that happen again. It wasn't really a miscommunication. And like, okay, but this one was communication. This one, the safety shouldn't, like, there's so many things happening that I feel like, I don't know. It's like some of them might happen some games, but you need to be able to cut down on that number.
And to that same token, since we're talking just about defense, to flip over to offense real quick, it's the same thing with that red zone offense. Like, how many different weeks are we hearing about how, no, we're going to get it going. We're going to get it going.
We just got to execute.
Yeah, just got to execute, but you're not really getting anywhere with it. And this isn't just a first-year issue. It's been an issue for a while. So on offense, it certainly, if let's say you don't have the Dak thing, and Dak, I can promise you right now, Dak will be healthy for the rest of the year. He's not going to miss another game. The one thing that you'd be concerned about is that red zone offense. Like, there's too much talent on this offense for them not to be scoring touchdowns on at least 60% of their trips.
I love that you guys have raised the expectation level way up here after 6 games. I mean, you should.
As has the team.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But, I keep thinking of, for example, Kansas City, who is all over the national story right now. Oh, my God, their offense will be fine.
How about their defense?
Well, their defense has always been bad. And they won Super Bowls with it. Or won.
You don't think it's worse now than those Super Bowl years, though?
Slightly. They've lost some edge presence.
Yeah.
But I can name you other teams. I mean, just these teams like the one we're watching tonight against Green Bay that's undefeated, they're going to win games 38-31.
You need to have some defense, though, if you're going to win it all. Like to Rob's point,
I'm not so sure.
Do you feel confident that the Cowboys can go in the playoffs and just outscore every one of those offense? They're going to be playing a good offense every week.
I'm leaning that way.
Okay.
Now,
well, it's possible.
They can't be as bad as they were last year.
Right.
And the takeaways do count because they've got that now.
Yeah.
And the team that won the Super Bowl last year, you could argue they had the best defense in the league by the end of it. I mean, they had no weaknesses at any of the three levels. Now, if Pat Mahomes
they needed it in Green Bay if they didn't have that defense, they wouldn't have beat the Packers because Tom Brady didn't play well enough.
Well, and that's why they are the odds-on favorite to win it again, even though they've got injuries in their back end of their defense.
And to play devil's advocate, if Pat Mahomes had an offensive line that was healthy, maybe that would have been a different story. Some offense, you got to score points. It probably trumps, but I'm with John. You got to be able to get some stops at some point. The quarterbacks in this conference are too good.
Let me have a little fun with my Dak angle real quick, because every team has this issue, and we're talking about the best teams in the league, and Cowboys fans are scared to death what Cooper Rush would be, especially after what happened last year when they threw money at Andy Dalton, and that didn't help.
Yeah.
Now, there were other reasons, the O-line getting hurt and all that. But Brady, his backup, Blaine Gabbert. Yeah, you think Blaine Gabbert's going to lead the Buccaneers to the Super Bowl without Brady? Murray, Colt McCoy, he may be the best of this bunch.
Yeah.
There you go. Rodgers has got Jordan Love, absolutely no experience. Stafford has a dude named John Wolford. Don't even know where he played college football. You guys might.
Oh, he was the backup in L.A. with the Rams last year, right?
Yeah. Cousins, I even went to Cousins because they're playing him this week, and they are 3-3, and I'm not sure we should count them out necessarily.
John Wolford played for Wake Forest.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
There you go.
That's the one.
Sean Mannion behind Cousins, and obviously behind Russell Wilson, we're getting a face full of Geno Smith. Boy, was that a shootout Monday night.
Steve, you would have said the same thing, though, in 2017 if you had on your sheet the Eagles and Nick Foles. You would have said the same thing about Nick Foles.
Well, Nick Foles was really good the one year that he took over the Eagles.
You would not be.
And I was at that game when he just punked the Cowboys.
The Eagles had never won a Super Bowl in the history of the franchise. True. You would not have thought Nick Foles could have done it.
So Cooper Rush could be Nick Foles?
Could be.
Or Sean Mannion
could
be Nick Foles. Yeah. I want to do this, too, because back to the Dak discussion. It's all about Dak. If Galloway taught me anything over the years on the radio, it's all about the quarterback. I find this interesting, and see what you think. The quarterback domination that the Cowboys have over the other teams in the NFC East right now is so lopsided. I don't think it's ever been this lopsided. Now, I didn't go all the way back in time because, quite frankly, I don't want to work that hard anymore at my age. But going back to 2000, if you just look at the NFC East, when the Cowboys were having their quarterback trouble, when Aikman left in 2000, Quincy, Vinny, Bledsoe, then came Romo for an era, and now we're in the Dak era. Obviously, the Giants had Kerry Collins and then Eli forever. The Eagles had McNabb forever, starting in 2000. Then Michael Vick. Then Carson Wentz. Even Washington, Brunell, Campbell, RG3, Cousins, Alex Smith. But this mess right now, when you look at Hurts, who's played 22 games to Dak's 75, he's thrown for a fourth of the yards and an eighth of the touchdown passes. Heineke, 15 games as the starter. And then Daniel Jones, 34 games. He's got 7,600 yards to Dak's 20,000. I mean, it is complete elite versus meatheads in this division. And I don't think it's ever been this bad, ever.
And I agree with you. But with the trade deadline coming up, let me just point this out to any Cowboys fan out there listening, that you need to be rooting for Deshaun Watson to go to any other team other than an NFC East team, because he's the one that could wreck that whole thing. Regardless of what you think of him off the field and anything he has looming, he is the type of guy that if he went to one of those teams in the NFC East, it would change everything you just said right there.
Probably.
I don't think he will.
Probably.
From talking to the other writers that cover the other teams at The Athletic, it doesn't sound like any of those teams are. I mean, Washington certainly cannot go get Deshaun Watson. I mean, that would be ridiculous with all the stuff that they're dealing with.
What if Tanya wanted it? She's running the team now.
Well, it's pretty hard hit PR-wise, though. The Eagles make a lot of sense for him. The Eagles writers maintain that they do not think that they're seriously interested in him, and I don't know that he would go to the Giants. But that right there should be, if you're a Cowboys fan, the absolute thing that you're rooting for at this trade deadline, more so than the Cowboys getting any players or any other team. It's that Deshaun Watson, anytime in the bottom line you see anything about the Panthers or the Dolphins, you should be hoping that he goes to one of those teams.
Well, he's only allowing the trade to waiver
he'd waive it
trade clause for Miami. So,
now, I've heard he wouldn't. I've heard some rumblings that he wouldn't waive it for the Eagles. I'll believe that when I see it.
He just wants to leave Houston and go to work somewhere. So he's going, come on, Miami, come get me. But, I think Cooper Rush would stack up very nicely against the three quarterbacks in the NFC East right now.
You wouldn't rather have Jalen Hurts than Cooper Rush?
No.
Really?
No, I would rather have Daniel Jones.
Yeah, him too.
But you can't blame these teams. They're trying. Philadelphia, first-round draft pick, traded up to get him. Carson Wentz, gone. Second round, Hurts.
All right, but Washington.
Haskins in Washington,
first-round pick. Would be Ryan Fitzpatrick if he didn't hurt. You'd rather have Ryan Fitzpatrick than Cooper Rush,
Hey,
though.
Taylor Heineke has taken the job, though.
He's goofy.
That says a lot more about their quarterback position.
He's just goofy. He's
what do you have against Goofy?
Well, nothing. I actually like Goofy very much. But you know what? He's Taysom Hill to me. It's just goofy football.
Okay.
It's not. It's not.
So weird how the Cowboys don't play him till December twice.
Yeah. And 4 out of the last 5 games, is that right? Or divisional games?
Yeah. Yep.
Which is, they're going to be 8 games ahead by then.
To be honest, this is probably what would have happened last year if half the team hadn't gotten hurt last year.
Yes,
it's like every team, all 4 teams just limped to the finish and were on empty. And it's like the Cowboys filled up their tank for 2021, and the rest of the teams did not.
A lot of cold weather outdoor games. You don't want to have any calf issues in that. So probably get that situation figured out now.
I think it's ironical or amusing something that the Cowboys get Romo undrafted. Dak, where they got him, and these other teams, first round, second round, they can't, Fitzpatrick, they're just trying.
That's what I'm saying. Watson is the only thing that can bridge that gap because
maybe
look at this class of quarterbacks. This is going to be one of the worst quarterback drafts in a long time. There's no guarantee that anybody's coming along, and then by the time that they get up to speed, look how good Trevor Lawrence is as a player coming in. How good Mac Jones, those guys. They're not going to be at the level where if they were in the NFC East competing with Dak for another 3, 4, 5 years. Deshaun Watson is the only person that could come in right now and where you'd be like, this is going to be a problem.
God, it makes me want to say another thing, too.
Go ahead.
Because when it was happening.
Go ahead.
After the rookie year, it just tells you how amazing Dak's been. Now, he's had ups and downs.
Yeah.
But the way he showed up in 2016, under the gun with Romo out, just ridiculous. I think Justin Fields is going to be a very good player.
I agree.
I think Mac Jones is going to be a very good player. Trevor Lawrence. I don't know about Trey Lance, but you see how much they're struggling. Dak didn't struggle at all. He did exactly what Garrett told him to. He got the ball to Zeke and was in charge as a rookie.
You don't think he was in a better situation than these guys we just mentioned?
Washington, maybe not. Maybe not. Washington's got a hell of a defense and a lot of potential. And they won the division last year and was supposed to do things this year.
I guess I was thinking more about Fields and Lawrence and Mac Jones.
Better than Chicago's situation, sure.
Yeah,
and better than Jacksonville's.
But what I think I'd be encouraged about if I were a Cowboys fan looking at Dak Prescott is clearly what he did in 2016 showed a lot about both him physically and mentally, but also the growth we've seen from kind of like 2017 to now and the ways in which he's bettered his game, the ways he has developed this command of the offense. Like his game is so different now than 2016, and so I think it's good that that like he had that poise and that ability to come out there and star, but that's not all. That wasn't his ceiling.
Well, he had some weaknesses in his down, where we started questioning him a little bit. Nobody questioned him in 2016.
But he figured out how to get through them. And remember, like you think about Troy,
and he got so much
day,
better
like,
in all of them.
You can't teach accuracy, and I don't think Dak has accuracy. Like
he's learned it.
The stats suggest he's pretty. I think only Kyler Murray's more accurate than him.
He's super accurate, and if there was a valley there, it was the transition when Dez left. They get Amari Cooper, and he takes right off again. It's what's around you. He could not have come into a better situation, but it is like Russell Wilson. He comes into a situation where it's kind of run first. Now it's his show, and it's become a pick or poison type.
I do like the situation argument. I think Mac Jones is really going to benefit from that in New England. His situation couldn't be better. I call him Baby Brady. He couldn't benefit more, but he still. you still watch him play and go, okay, I see. But then you go, ooh, he's a rookie.
What's the best thing about Dak, though, in this whole discussion is that you don't have to worry about him becoming like a celebrity quarterback to where the stuff off the field, all of a sudden, he's not continuing to work on his game and get better. Like you see, I mean, not to hate on this guy, but I mean, I feel like everyone's always talking about, but like, there are serious questions about, like, what does Ben Simmons do in the offseason? Like, does he even work on his game? You never have to question that with Dak Prescott. You know that it's in his DNA.
He's super driven.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
the man doesn't have a weakness. I thought he had a weakness when he was demanding top quarterback money, and he was probably a 9th, 10th, 11th best quarterback in the league. I thought that was a mistake and arrogant, and I said it. But in fact, I also said the Cowboys would be very smart to franchise him one more year and go get Justin Fields in the draft and replace him because it'd be a lot cheaper for 5 years. Boy, I'm not saying that now. That was I thought that was a weakness, and he was right.
I'm impressed that you're admitting to all this. Right?
I know. I like the
It can't be a weakness. I don't think the man has a weakness, but I think he's an Achilles heel now because we got to worry about his health.
Well, I think his mind, the way it's wired, he's very open-minded to whatever the weakness might be, and whatever that is, he's going to put all his effort into it. I mean, he's wired like the exact type of guy that you want to be a franchise
If this dude doesn't win the Cowboys a championship, let's see, here I go.
It'll top. It'll be right there with. No, Jerry will say it too, just like he always says about Romo.
But Jerry's wrong about that. Romo had football teams. 2007 was the best team in the NFC.
This is a pretty good football team this year.
I don't want to hear that stuff from Jerry.
This is a pretty good football team this year.
Yes, it is. It could be.
Yeah.
2007 was phenomenal. The defense was good. It was a top 10 defense. But anyway, let's get to the last segment. A talent infusion is about to happen for the Cowboys. I'm interested from you guys how big of an impact you think it could make. I'm kind of wondering how they're 5-1 without all these people that haven't played. Let's get to that. Quick word about the Vikings, and then I'm going to ask you who the Cowboys should be rooting for in the game tonight. Next on Media Mash.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. Before you can park yourself in front of the game, park yourself in a John Deere and power through your chores. Our Land Run package is a 1025R, 25 horsepower tractor with a loader, rotary cutter, and a box blade for $229 a month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay, no surprises. So don't miss another kickoff.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now let's get to work.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit AT&T.com for details.
Back to Media Mash.
All right, let's look ahead a little bit here on Media Mash. A little bit. With the talent infusion that is starting to happen, and then B, the Vikings on the primetime game, and I think the country is going to be treated to a really good one if Dak plays, and probably not a bad one if he doesn't. But, all right, let's start with you guys have a really good feel of this, I think, and it's important that fans get that too. So if you could share I mean, who is on the verge of being back? Who's in? Who's still not? Where is everything with all these players that have been missing for virtually the beginning of the season, and how close are all of them getting to playing?
Well, hey, who do you guys think is the closest out of all the defensive? I personally think it's Calvin Joseph.
Yeah, we were having.
Yeah,
he's in his second week.
And McCarthy was talking about how he's both competing for that spot at defense and special teams. I feel like you don't even get to that conversation if he's not healthy enough. I mean, a guy like a Michael Gallup or a Tristan Hill, it just seems like there's a lot of benefit to getting their feet back under them. And Amari said that Michael told me, like, yeah, the biggest challenge is getting my feet back under me. But Kelvin, it seems like if you could start putting him in smaller roles, then I could see that this week.
I think it's Calvin Joseph's the closest. Next would be Tristan Hill. Then it's probably another 3 weeks after that would be Neville Gallimore.
What about Gallup?
Oh, I was just going to go defense real quick.
Oh, okay.
Neville Gallimore. And then 4 weeks, maybe even 5, to DeMarcus Lawrence. I feel like every time Stephen Jones talks about Neville Gallimore or DeMarcus Lawrence, he keeps pushing it back.
Yeah, it almost sounds like December.
Yeah.
You know, at this point, I don't know. They haven't set a hard date, but it doesn't sound like it's very close.
Gallup, actually, you mentioned Gallup. I think that he seems like he's pretty close. I don't know about this week, but maybe next week.
I think next week.
Can I stop you on two that you mentioned?
Yeah.
Joseph and Hill, what impact do you think either or both will make?
Right away?
Yeah.
I think Kelvin Joseph's mostly just special teams. I mean, I say this, and then Adam Thielen's going to go for $150 and 2 touchdowns, and Anthony Brown, and people are going to be like, no, we want to see him now. But Anthony Brown's been pretty good. Like I don't know, did you tweet it out, or maybe it was Hellman, that quote that he had, that Al Harris had about Anthony Brown?
Yeah, he's like, I'm so happy you asked about him. He's one of our most consistent tacklers, consistent players. Like, people aren't noticing, but yeah, they're really happy with how he's playing.
So if he continues to play well, Jordan Lewis has been fine in the slot, and then obviously Trayvon Diggs, I don't think that you need to force Calvin Joseph in there. Like, fans want to see him in there because he was a second-round pick. So as long as those other 3 are healthy, I think he makes an impact on special teams, and then maybe they try and work him in on defense. But, I don't know. There's always injuries, though. It's actually kind of amazing they haven't had any cornerback injuries up to this point.
Right. My comment about that, though, Anthony Brown's been here a minute. I think he's an energizer-type player. Mm-hmm. I think he has a talent ceiling, and that's why he went and got Joseph in the second round.
Oh, sure.
He's got more talent. So at some point, talent wins.
It does, but I don't think.
Yet.
Yeah, I don't think that might not be this season.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
right.
I think he still might be a year away.
I think that trajectory would have been if he started from the jump and was healthy. You're asking him, who hasn't played in 2 months, to just step in and compete. That's
as a rookie.
That's hard.
I'll tell you this: if he didn't get hurt, maybe he'd be closer to that now. Because at training camp,
there were people in the organization who thought he was going to be the day one starter at cornerback.
I hate to be a name caller too, but make the case that Tristan Hill's ever going to help this football team.
I think we're about to find out.
The front office believes that he will.
Yeah.
I thought he was helping him last year, to be honest with you. I thought he should have played more before he got hurt. They had done Terry Poe in there, and they could not move up front. They were just getting pushed around up front. I thought he was much better than he was his rookie season before he got hurt. He can help them.
And now Brent Urban's out for a little bit, so there'll be snaps to work him in. And honestly, what are you really losing? Like, you put him out there.
Right.
If he's not good, then you just move on to the next guy. Like, you're not really wasting any. Like, it's not like he's not going to be a progress stopper for Osa. Osa's playing. He's not losing any minutes. Chauncey Golston, they can work him on the inside a little bit. He ain't going to lose any snaps to him either. So
it just extends the rotation. I think DQ wants anyway.
Right, and it'll give him a head start to show them, hey, keep me in the rotation. But if it doesn't work out, I feel like
then
you're
Rod
only
Marinelli is bringing him to Vegas.
Well, that's definitely happened. And then
they hung out on Tristan's 21st birthday, and it was a bonding experience.
How many Cowboys are with Vegas now on defense? There's a few, aren't there? Still, I don't know.
And if it doesn't work out with Tristan, what I was going to say though is then you have Neville Gallimore coming, and you don't need 4 defensive tackles. If you can have a healthy Neville Gallimore, healthy Osa Digizua, you really only need like one other good defensive tackler. And if that's Tristan, hey, that's icing on the cake.
You're not mentioning Armstrong. Where are things with him?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He's had a good week of practice, sounds like.
Yeah, they were happy with where he's at.
Yeah.
So in the rotation, when? Sunday?
I would say for sure by Denver.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if right away. I think they really like Chauncey Golston, what he's been doing.
Yeah.
And then you have Basham on the other side. So, I mean, Dorrance will get back in there.
Continuity, I hear, is good for a line.
Yeah, they do say that. I don't know. Dorrance will probably play a little bit, I think, but I don't think he'll be a major impact for another week or so.
All right, back to the offense. Gallup obviously has proven what he can do. When he gets back, is Cedric Wilson going to disappear again, or is something going to change there?
Different packages at different times of the game, and also depending on the defenses and who they think the matchups are. I mean, you see that already with the offensive weapons. It's just you're adding another one back in. Like, I don't think it's you don't have to make a decision like you do with Lael versus Terrence at the position because guys are rotating around already.
What'll be fascinating is that they've turned to a lot more two tight end sets. The running game has been having success. Well, you can turn to more 2 tight end sets when you don't have those 3 stud wide receivers. Like, it's easier to bring another tight end in there. Will they continue to do that, though, with Michael Gallup back? If he's back to 100% Michael Gallup, it's going to be hard for you to say, Michael, why don't you go stand on the sidelines? We're going 2 tight ends here. Like, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
And I think the biggest case for it, in my opinion, and we've talked about this for so long with this Cowboys team, is that for a team that invests so heavily in offense, if you're scoring more quickly because you go back to the Michael Gallup in there and just the bigger plays, your defense is going to give up more of those explosive plays, and you have to make sure that you can hold that off.
And I love this question, and don't get mad at me, Jori, because speaking of whisperers, you're the Amari whisperer. I always like to make it about the season you're in. I've always been that way. The NFL is season at a time.
Yeah.
But you have to peek ahead a little bit. And this is very intriguing because they love Cedric Wilson, and why wouldn't you? Gallup, Amari, CD's going to be back. I think Cedric Wilson's going to be back. So now, Gallup is.
No, I don't even think this is difficult. I don't even know.
Amari gone?
No.
What?
No, you're keeping Amari.
Yeah.
But I mean, if Gallup's healthy, he's playing. He's playing.
I think you're
he
talking
gets scraps anyway in terms of production, so he doesn't want to give up. What his little niche, right?
It's not always a little niche. I mean, he's made some huge plays for that, and sometimes it just goes week to week. Plus, Amari has been banged up this year. Like, he has been playing through stuff. You've got to have all these guys ready to go. Noah Brown?
Yeah. I thought you were talking about in the offseason.
No, I was.
Yeah.
I was looking ahead.
You know what?
I'm sorry.
I'm looking ahead. Which one are you keeping?
You know what? Yeah, you know what would make me kind of come off the ledge of this being obvious is if Michael Gallup comes back and all of a sudden is a beast in the red zone and lifts their red zone to where they start producing there, then maybe you're like, oh, I don't know if we can go without this. But I would be very surprised if Amari Cooper isn't on this team next year. Very surprised.
And sad.
Amari Whisperer.
He keeps walking by.
I know.
Jori has to wave at him.
He's doing his radio segment.
He seems like a nice fella.
He's a good dude.
All right, let's talk about this. I find it interesting that for the second year in a row, the Cowboys come out of the bye, as does Minnesota, playing each other, which is odd. Not sure why they were both in Minnesota. Somebody smarter than me can figure that out. But I love a lot of things about this game real quick. And I'm going to start with Diggs on Jefferson. Does it get any better than that if we get to see it Sunday night?
It'll be fun. But somebody's got to cover Adam Thielen, too. I mean, whether that's Anthony Brown, whether that's Trayvon. I mean, we don't know if Trayvon will follow. But that. Other than Tampa Bay, that's as good a 1-2 punch at wide receiver as they have faced all year long. And they've got a running game. A lot of Minnesota's offense is kind of Cowboy-esque, man. Like, balance, beat you different ways.
Yeah.
Right. The quarterback's stronger here, but the weapons are really, really good.
Yeah.
Well, they love to run Cook, and Zimmer will say that's what they're about offensively, if you give them a chance, I'm sure. But, Cook's been banged up a little bit. His last game was a good one. The other thing about these two is they both are coming off walk-off wins.
I didn't think about that.
Overtime wins.
Yeah, when's the last time that's ever happened?
Rob, look that up.
Hang on one sec. We got about 30 seconds.
No, there's actually something about that in the NFL notes this week.
Jori's got it off the top of her head. See?
Wow.
Or she read it already.
So clutch.
But that's just very squirrely. Minnesota has got a stretch here, gang, where they play the Cowboys, Baltimore, the Chargers, and Green Bay.
That's rough, man.
In the next 4.
Steve, does Kirk Cousins scare you at all?
Does he scare me as a person?
We talk about quarterbacks all the time, so I want to hear what your thoughts are about him. Scare you Sunday night. Sunday night, Halloween.
Speaking of goofy,
are you worried about him?
That may be the goofiest dude that has stepped into the NFL.
You've seen him play in college a little bit.
He was a very good player at Michigan State.
Okay, you ready for this?
Yeah.
I interrupted everything.
Breaking news. Do we need a sounder? Dun, dun, dun.
The 5-1 Cowboys and the 3-3 Vikings are coming off bye weekends after overtime victories on the road, both by a touchdown. It's the first time two teams are meeting following road overtime victories since November 2nd, 2014, when Minnesota met Washington in similar circumstances.
Wow.
And wouldn't Cousins have been in Washington at that point?
Yes.
And Jori's not even reading that. She just knew that off the top of her head.
It's Elias up there.
Yeah, I just had to find the right place in there.
Yeah. That's interesting. I love stuff like that. I think that Minnesota is in a little more trouble with their corners against the Cowboys receivers than the Cowboys are against their receivers, with Peterson now on IR. So the Cowboys should be able to do some stuff in the passing game. But this is a really good matchup. Can't wait to watch it. Now, as we wrap up the matchup on TV tonight, Green Bay without Devontae, totally different team. I don't care what anybody says, including Rodgers. But they have never lost when Devontae hasn't played against Arizona tonight. I'm looking forward to it. Who do you think Cowboys fans should be rooting for if we're talking about getting in the best position to have a bye? Because a bye, if you take off the trip to Cabo in 2007, it is the most important thing you can get if you're going to get to a Super Bowl. I wish Wade understood that back then. But anyway.
It would be Green Bay. It would be their number one receiver in this game, former Cowboy Randall Cobb. I think that you root for them because Arizona's rolling, and who knows when that loss is going to come. You would like to see them get to the point where they finally get their first loss. The Cowboys are on even ground, and they only have one loss like the rest of the division. Plus, I just think Arizona's a better team than Green Bay. So have Green Bay beat them. Green Bay will lose some games down the stretch. I don't know how many games Arizona's going to lose. So I would be rooting for Green Bay if I was Cowboys.
Who would you rather play in the playoffs right now?
Oh, my God. Arizona.
Just make the jump.
Arizona is not even, and it's not even close.
You don't want to play Rodgers.
Yeah.
Cowboys don't want to play Rodgers. He'll probably find a way to get Jared Cook to come back with Cobb.
He won't even have Devontae Adams, and he'll throw 3 touchdowns to Robert Tonyan. And they'll win the game that way.
Very intrigued by what he does tonight.
You do not want to see Aaron Rodgers.
Because if he plays well tonight and they beat Arizona on the road without Devontae, you better get him right back in the MVP discussion.
For sure.
If they go to 7-1. And
he had that one slip up, that weird opener where they played awful, and since then they've been awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you got to root.
And since we keep talking goofy on this show, is Aaron Rodgers starting to get a little goofy? Is he starting to just kind of go off the reservation as Parcells?
He's following the same exact path that Tom Brady is, where they're just showing more of their personality now because they're so established that it doesn't matter what you think.
But
of
I
them
think
now.
his personality is damn goofy, is what I'm saying.
Probably a little bit.
I think it's not. I mean, he should be able to be who he is. And I kind of like the idea of NFL quarterbacks don't have to have one type of persona, and Rodgers is reminding us of that.
And he's in his commercials and stuff. He's leaning into the long hair hippie vibe thing. Yeah,
he's
having fun. With it.
And to be honest with you, from our perspective and our jobs, even if he is a little goofy, I like the fact that he's pretty candid about responses on a lot of variety of topics. It doesn't have to be just football.
Absolutely.
And it's usually pretty fascinating.
And he went to Cal. They're all tech heads.
There you go.
When they go to Cal.
They don't all have the block O keys on their keyboard.
You just love that.
Still there. I do too. That's awesome.
You know what? My wife chastised me because I told the story. We talked about that. We actually got that in the School of Business when Katie was meeting the head of the School of Business. He handed them out to us. I thought we got him in the.
Would you pick that up and show Rob? He's never seen it.
You haven't seen my little block O? You got a little block
Where the O is on the.
Oh, of course. just a little reminder.
That was the same show where you hadn't heard from your daughter in a bit, but if you're going to visit her this week, it sounds like we've remedied that.
Do you have any advice for me, Jori? Because you remember when your parents came to see you for the first time.
Was that 2 months ago?
College. I haven't seen my kid in 2 months. She won't talk to us, but we're going, damn it. We're going to the Penn State game.
Showing up.
We're showing up, and whether she already alerted us to the fact that she has a Halloween party she's going to Friday night late.
What's she dressing up as?
Devil. And my wife said, a sexy devil? And she goes, well, you'll see when you get here.
So, hey, what do you wear to Ohio State, Penn State game? Because you can't wear white, obviously. So everyone just wears all.
You haven't heard the big news? It is a scarlet out in the shoe.
But will that happen?
Everybody's wearing
it's
scarlet.
It's so hard to get everybody in the same
you got
page.
Your
Just
Zeke
trust me. A Buckeye Nation does what it's told.
Okay.
All scarlet. And the Buckeyes are wearing those color rush things, all scarlet.
Okay.
First time.
Steve's already ready.
Steve's dressed as a devil right now himself.
Yeah. We got to go. Enough of the Buckeye talk. You guys have a good weekend. Enjoy the game in Minnesota. I want to thank everybody for listening to Media Mash, 4 o'clock on Wednesday and Thursday. Check us out next week as well. Thanks, Rookie. Chris Beam. Thanks to Rob Phillips, as always, Jori Epstein, John Machota. Minnesota next Sunday night. Enjoy it. We'll talk next week. Bye.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this,